So this is great.
Right. It's and I can tell you, we've had a number of people use the class notebook for, I guess, what I would consider to be wildly different things.
Okay.
And the reason we ended up doing that, using the class notebook for these folks, was after talking with them and finding out what it was they needed to do, the class notebook was the answer to those questions. And in some cases, and this is true of just about any product, of course, in some cases, there was some stuff that was nice to have, and then some stuff that was a must-have. And Class Notebook got them most, if not all, of the must-have sorts of things. Nothing's perfect, so of course there's always trade-offs.
Yeah.
But it is a super neat product. Okay, so one of the things I did fairly recently, and I'm showing this to you because it's a relatively new class notebook instance, but it isn't so new that it doesn't show off some of the stuff. Class notebook lives as part of content. So first of all, have you guys turned this on?
Yes.
Through the system
We
office?
have.
Okay.
We have, but I don't know if we did it fully because I cannot get the student names to populate. Like what
They have to do it.
Who has to do it?
The students.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
Yep, I'll show you that.
That'll be my next question. Great. Okay.
Yep. Okay, so you know that the class notebook setup is in here then.
I don't know that Susan has seen this.
Okay, so
I haven't
if
really
you want
shown this to many people.
Okay, so from your content area, from the module that you'd like to use for your class notebook, you click on existing activities and then choose external learning tools. And this class is full of stuff, so you can ignore most of this. There's also a search. And it's called OneNote Class Notebook. And what you do is you just click on it. So since you haven't seen this before, I'm going to go someplace else so I can show you that actual, I think that's me. From a class without a class notebook, you'd come in, probably create a module for it. Maybe with spaces in the title, but you know. Again, it's external learning tools under existing activities. This list should be a lot smaller. Yep, OneNote Class Notebook. And it's going to come back here. And if you've ever used a publisher integration, this is a similar process where the link shows up. And then you have to click on the link as the instructor to actually then finish provisioning the connection between your class and this external resource. So I clicked on it. This is the first screen you see. I'm going to sign in, and it's probably just going to cruise right on through because I am signed in. Otherwise, normally we would have typed in our star ID at midstate.edu information. And now the class notebook setup walks us through the entire process. It automatically pulls in the name of your course. This happens to be the name of this course. You can change this if you want to. I'm going to leave most of the defaults alone so Susan, you can see them. I always advocate when there's a scroll bar, making sure you get to the bottom of every page. In this case, there's nothing on these pages. So I click to next. Now it's going to tell you what is going to be created in your class notebook space. It's automatically going to create a collaboration space, which is editable by everybody. It's going to create a content library, which is editable by the instructor only and viewable by the students. This is the area where teachers, if there are multiple teachers in the course, can do whatever they want, and the students can't see it. And then this is the cool thing, and this is an option, and I'll show it to you. It creates this stuff for each student when they join. And again, it's private to each student. They can't see other students' notebooks. And again, scrolling down, nothing else. So this is just There's nothing changeable here. This is just information. If you know that there's another instructor in your class right away, you can put their email address here right now. You can do this later as well. Again, nothing down below. Okay, this is the default, and this is what we recommend. This serves a couple purposes. Students are provisioned in the class notebook as they access the class notebook, which means that if you have 20 students in your class and only 15 names in your class notebook, regardless of what the students are telling you, they have not accessed it because those 5 names don't appear. Plus, this puts some of the provisioning steps kind of into an automatic realm rather than a manual kind of thing. And this works really well. It's really neat. There is a drawback to this, and I'll tell you about that when we actually see the notebook. This allows you at this point, if you want to customize the things that show up in the student's own private area. You can add, I don't think there's any limit. So if this was about, we'll use the music class as an example. If there's an area just for theory handouts, you can create that right away. You could rename, handouts. This might be for listening.
And in Susan's case, it might be, handouts for a specific day. She could say handouts for September 20th or something like that, right? Or handouts for Zoom meetings.
You could.
You know what I mean?
Yep, you could, but once you see this, I'm not sure you'd want the specific day as an actual area, and I'll show you why. So I'm just going to leave this like this. I'll scroll to the bottom again. There's nothing there. You can also create new ones later as well. This is initial setup. This is kind of cool because now it shows us a quick little view of what the teacher would see and then what a student would see, even with our changed names and our additional area. Kind of cool. So this is a confirmation screen. And now we're going to click create. So now it's actually creating this class notebook. Because a OneNote notebook lives in OneDrive, it lives literally in my OneDrive. But one of the cool things about a class notebook, see, you saw the notification pop up? I shared this with myself. Because OneDrive lives in the cloud, the class notebook is actually accessible via the OneNote apps for phones or tablets, or for the installed version of OneNote on a computer. Essentially, that allows an instructor and or a student to get to and interact with this content in a variety of ways outside of D2L. And that's particularly valuable, especially if there's kind of a drawing requirement. And if you know students have tablets available, because then you can draw much more naturally on a tablet or even a phone. So here's my class notebook. I'm going to go back to D2L content because you'll never see this screen again, but I want to show you the screen that you do see. So now this is set up. As an instructor, when I click on this, I get to a particular screen. As a student, when I click on this, they simply walk through signing into Office 365 if they aren't, and joining the class.
So can I ask a question? When a student clicks on this link, they are then added to that class notebook with their own private space?
Yes, once they authenticate to Office 365.
Right.
Yep.
Okay. What if they are already signed into Office 365 through the home?
Yep, then it will show them a screen about signing up. They'll click on the, like I did when I clicked on the sign in link, and you sort of saw it just sort of take me through automatically because
Okay.
I'm also signed in.
Okay.
It'll just kind of bypass some of that and take them to the class notebook.
Great.
So this is the page that the instructor typically sees when you come back in. It's kind of neat because it allows you to get at a couple things easily. If you needed to remove students, I don't know why you would, but or add a teacher. Something that's true, however, is a class, in this case, this showcase class, can have only one class notebook in it. I'm not sure why this appears here, this thing, because you can't actually add another one to this class.
That was so confusing to me. I always wondered, like, why would I create another one when I've already created this one? So, okay.
Right, especially since a notebook is such a vast thing.
Yeah.
I'm not sure why you'd want another one, but you can't. So
I also didn't know why the add or remove students was there, because again, I wasn't seeing students in the private spaces, but it's because the students hadn't clicked on it yet. So I understand that now. Okay.
Yep. So this one is going to be empty, no students. But as an instructor, when you go from your content to this, typically what I show people first is then you just scroll down a little and you click the link that says open the class notebook.
Okay.
Because you want to see it online in your browser. It's the quickest, easiest way to deal with the class notebook. If you like OneNote, if you're a regular installed application OneNote user, use that. I love it on tablets. The OneNote app on tablets is fantastic. However, some of the teacher stuff is better done on a computer, and it doesn't matter if you do it in a browser or in the app. But typically you've got more of your files and things on a computer rather than on a tablet or a phone. But we can see that we got what we expected to get: the collaboration space, the content library, and the teacher only area. So if you've never used OneNote, OneNote is the paradigm of OneNote is a multi-subject notebook with sections in it, and each section, which is over here on the left, these are sections. And this column on the right are the pages in the section. You can have as many sections as you want, and a section contain as many pages as you want. So this is where typically, if you had created a student area for handouts, that you would then name that page September 23rd handout, September 27th handout, and they would just be a collection of pages in here.
Now tell me where the student private areas would show up once the student clicks on this.
Yep, right down here over on the left.
Okay.
So kind of over here is where you'd see student names appear. The student names then get the same little drop-down indicator thingy. See how I'm clicking on these guys and it's sort of opening up. It's expanding and collapsing. Initially, you'll see a student name, and then if you expand it, you'll see those sections that we created in this course. I used to be able to demo a student because I had a student account with an Office 365 account when we were on our own tenant as well, but I don't anymore.
Oh, okay. And one thing I noticed is that the desktop app version looks very different than the online version.
It does.
So right now you're using, I believe, the desktop version.
Nope, this is online. This is in the browser.
Oh, this is the online version. Okay, so I'm getting
this is the browser.
Swapped. Got it. Okay.
It does, though. The desktop version does look quite a bit different. These things, the sections and the pages are over on the right, typically.
Now, okay.
I was just going to say, this welcome area is super fantastic. And there is probably literally at least a week's worth of just watching videos and exploring stuff just on these pages. Because the class notebook can do tons and tons and tons of things. I mean, it's ridiculous. And this shows up by default because this belongs to this teacher, which it's me. I would be free if I wanted to delete this, and I just right-click anything I want to get to the extra options. So the context menu of right-clicking, if you're on a Mac, it's Control-click. Or if you've got your mouse set up to right-click, it's right-click. But so if you don't like the welcome area, you can always delete it. But this is OneNote at this point. And this is just a brand new notebook.
Yep.
Here's the downside to the provisioning the students as they join. And for some people, it's a big downside, and for others, it's not. Because the process that you use this for and with depends on having students present. What do you do in D2L? If we go back to the class, what do we do in D2L with stuff? We distribute it to our students, typically by dropping it into content, right? We might put documents or things in there that we want them to look at, and in some cases, like you were saying, download, fill out, change the name, up, and do stuff like that. In the class notebook, unfortunately, we can't distribute anything until we have people to distribute it to. And the distribution is immediate only for those people. So again, with a 20-person class, if there's only 15 names and we do a distribution, 5 people will not have the things we distributed at that time. And then you'll have to distribute those things to those 5 people when they do finally join up. That is the drawback to the provisioning upon join thing. However, I don't think we've had anybody not use that feature, even despite that drawback.
So it's kind of like a step one before you ever use this with students is to make sure they click on the link and sign in.
Correct.
We have the same issue with VoiceThread. We have a VoiceThread tool now, and if students don't click on their home, they don't authenticate in D2L, they can't get to any of the stuff.
Right. It's MediaSpace is the same way. If you want to collaborate with someone on a video, if they've never signed into MediaSpace, they're not a user in there, so you can't collaborate with them. Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah. It's a provisioning step. So what most people end up doing is a couple things. You can still stage all of your stuff like in the teacher only area. So let's say we had a bunch of stuff we wanted to work up. So I might create, whoops. Come on. Oh, I guess that's a page. Forget it. Sometimes I get screwed up too. There we go. So I might want to put some week 1 stuff here. I can put all kinds of pages here because the teacher's the only one who can see this. And then at that point, after everyone joins, I can then begin distribution of my stuff. Most of what you're going to do in the class notebook as an instructor is under the class notebook menu. Distribute a page. So in here in the teacher area, if I had put a bunch of week 1 stuff here, and maybe this one's also week 1, page 2, things like that. So now I can distribute my stuff to 1 page at a time, to individuals, to groups. And if I was using a class notebook in multiple courses, I can actually populate multiple notebooks from here as well.
So once sorry.
Go ahead.
So if you make a page in teacher only, you go to the distribute page, and then where does it go exactly?
Well, we're going to need to go to a different class because there's no place to distribute it right now.
Got it. Yeah.
There aren't any people here, but I have a class that's got some people, and we can mess with that because they're real people, but it's just a demo anyway. So we can mess with that.
Yeah.
But But like I said, you can also create an entirely new section from here.
Okay.
You can copy stuff to the content library if that's where you want students to access stuff.
Okay.
Because remember that the collaboration space is available to everybody, and everyone in here has edit permissions. The content library is look but don't touch for the students. But depending on how you put stuff in your pages, they can still get your stuff. And I'll show you.
So, yeah, because the main thing we want to solve is how can a teacher distribute a worksheet that each individual student is then going to edit and have it remain just viewable by that student?
Yep, I'll show you.
Okay, great.
So let's go. I'm just going to go to another course, and we'll leave that notebook up so we can hopefully see both of them.
Sorry, could I interrupt?
Absolutely.
The page, the page that you showed that just said Class Notebook in D2L.
This one?
No, I think back before this. It was, I think it was Class Notebook in your content. Then
yep, like this.
So when the students would go to join, they wouldn't go to the existing activities like you did, or? Sorry, I think that's a kind of basic question, but.
Oh, yep. I think it'll be clearer when you see this notebook.
Okay.
This one actually has students in it.
They don't get that previous pane though that we just saw, right? It takes them right here, the students.
They get something a little different. Because what it's asking them, that previous page, this page is essentially asking them, do you want to open it? They do see something like this.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
But remember, once they, or if they want to use an app or something, they might actually bypass this entirely.
And once they have clicked on this for the first time, you could give them a link to this. Could you give them a link to the one in your OneDrive, like in a Zoom meeting in the chat window or something? Or do they have to be, okay, good.
Yep, once they've joined, then they're provisioned in with the permissions based on their MnState Star ID account to have access to this class notebook.
Regardless of whether they're subsequently getting it from D2L or a link that you just email them or something.
Yep, anything, yep.
Great.
Yep, exactly. But they would click on it. And now again, this is a teacher view, so you can see that now there's a whole bunch of students in here.
Oh.
So the students, so if Annie, since, I guess Daniel's first, if he came in, he would see his own area, and he would not see teacher only, but he'd see collaboration and content library.
And he would not see the other students either. Correct.
Mm-hmm. Yep, but in this case, I can give you, so we've done some distributions in here. And I think what we did was we did some distributions in here. The other cool thing, although it sort of sucks for the instructor, the students sometimes will rearrange their sections. Mm. You notice how these are different? Mm-hmm. We were actually, this was a group of people who was doing this. We were doing this in a Zoom session, and they were rearranging the order of their stuff. And I suspect, and you can see here's this one's color-coded. So Fira's color-coded all his stuff. I suspect that's why there's color coding and stuff available. Mm. Anyway, what we did was, you notice now Annie doesn't have anything distributed to her because she joined after I had distributed this.
Okay.
And to show you how the distribution thing works is you can distribute pretty much anything from anywhere, as long as it's in here. So this was a clip, and this is a thing I showed as a potential cool deal for an instructor. This was something I clipped from YouTube using a tool, but it's a page. So in this case, if I want to, I can distribute this. And over on the right now, it opens up the distribution pane. And it says, where do you want to put it? So I'm going to put this page in the new sample section for each student.
Got it.
So I just click distribute.
Mm-hmm.
And it does a little bit of work. And in typically less than a minute, each of these students in the new sample section will have this thing. And what that means once it's in there for the student, so it's done, is that it's now theirs and it is editable.
Oh my God, that's amazing.
So it's synchronizing right now for Daniet, and there it is. So now this student and me as the instructor, the student could come in here, take a look at this document, and it doesn't matter what the document is. And now the student could do stuff to it or with it.
So this could be a Word document. It could be an Excel spreadsheet. It could be is that correct, if I'm understanding that right?
It can be just about anything that's web-based. So again, if I come back to my content library,
yeah,
I want to add a new page. And I'm going to try and find a PDF that's fine. So here's the trick with PDFs. When you want to insert a file, you want to insert it as a printout.
Right.
Because the printout will actually get you this too. Will get you the attachment as well.
Okay.
And PDFs work best for the printouts. See here, you can also insert Microsoft Forms.
Do you recommend using a PDF over a Word document?
Yep.
Okay.
Now I just have to find a PDF. So this is essentially a printout of this PDF. So if I distribute this one back on Class Notebook, I'm going to distribute this page. We're going to put it again in that new sample section. Now, let's pretend this was something that we wanted the students to interact with or draw upon.
Mm-hmm.
It's a worksheet that requires filling out. Once it finishes, it will be in every student's new sample section, and then because it belongs to them at that point, we essentially gave them a copy of this file. They can then change it. And because what we're seeing is the teacher view, I can see what they did and comment on what they did or make changes myself to the things that they did. So we'll pick Daniet again. And now what he might do is come in here, and because what we want them to do is fill something out, or perhaps this is an English assignment where we want them to correct something or point out whatever, he might come in and circle something. So pretend I'm the student at this point. The student can do all of this, and as the instructor, I can come in and see what they did. In another class, I actually have the music worksheet. Let's see if I can.
Did they actually type on that document?
They can. Yep, they can. Anywhere. So if you go back to here, I selected the type tool now. So I can pretty much click and type something, and then I can move it where it needs to go. If it's a comment, I can draw on this, I can type on it. Some of this, again, so if this was a musical staff, I might want to draw, I'm using a mouse, I might want to draw a treble clef, for example. And this is what one of our music instructors does, is he's got several worksheets that he uses like this, where the students draw, and drawing with a mouse is adequate for him. Some students do use a tablet, and therefore they get better results, but for him, drawing with a mouse is adequate.
So how did the student get the menu along the top, the draw menu? Oh, they just went to the draw menu. Okay.
Yep.
And that allows for typing as well. How did you get the typing tool? Oh, it's on the very left. Okay. So that's a little bit, I'm just projecting that it's a little bit of a learning curve for some students who aren't tech savvy to be able to figure out how to exactly
Yep.
make these changes. It's not like
They,
typing on a Word document. It's not like using Word, but
true. It's relatively simple once they get in here, though. Like, for example, for text, as long as you find a spot you want to type and double click on it, the box will come up and you can just fill it up with text.
Okay.
Additionally, if you wanted to keep your stuff over here, like for comments, you can type anywhere.
It almost feels like a better option, rather than inserting a file as a printout, is to just create a web page with, spaces of what you want them to do. Like type below. So the student is actually editing the page rather than editing the document on the page. That, to me, I think would be easier for students.
Yeah, but I don't know how you'd create that page.
Could you create it in your teacher only space and then distribute it?
Oh, I see what you mean. Like, yeah, in here. Yeah. So if the idea was,
if it's just a simple thing, like,
yeah,
and then you distribute this page.
Correct. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yep. Then it's a text document, and they can still draw on it, but it's a little more obvious, I guess, that it's a text thing. Yes. So absolutely, you can do this. And I guess if I were going to do this, what I would do is I'd make it in Word and I'd paste it in here.
Ah, good idea. Or if you already have it in Word, like Susan's, a lot of her stuff is already in Word. She could just copy and paste, not paste it as a Word document with a file printout, but
paste the text.
Paste the text into this web page. Yep. Yeah,
yep.
Cool.
You'd open up your Word document and you'd copy what you wanted, and then you'd come over here and paste it in.
Sorry, how did you get to this space right? This fill this out page? Was it under file?
So what I did first was we created a fill this out page right here. Excuse me. We happened to be in Daniet's private area, and this one was just created in this section. So I just clicked on the plus page on the bottom, and I created the page, and I just started typing in it.
So instead of using the insert menu, instead of using the file menu on top to add the PDF, like insert file printout, you just start typing.
Yep.
Yeah, cool.
Or like I did here, I went to my Word document and I just grabbed all the text and I pasted it in.
So then when Daniette comes to this page, they can just type directly on it.
Correct.
Yeah.
And then I can come back and see that that the typing had happened.
Right. That's so cool.
It is cool. This thing, and again, I'll tell you how this got here, and if you think it's interesting, you can say so, and I'll show you more about it. And if you don't think it's interesting, we won't talk about it. One of the things I particularly like about this tool, OneNote in general, and in this case, this is specific to this particular class notebook, is, again, OneNote is available in the cloud, and it's available in multiple spots. And I discovered something a long time ago when someone asked me a different question about showing their students stuff. And the question was more along the lines of, this was a political science class where lots of current events were happening, and the question was, but this stuff is going on, and as I'm sitting on my couch with my iPad and I see a cool article that I want to show my students, what's the fastest way to do that? Well, now if you imagine the content library is viewable by everybody. If you imagine somehow being able to quickly and easily drop links to web pages in here, the students can always see them. And the answer to that question is up here on my Chrome toolbar. It's the OneNote web clipper. And it allows you to quickly and easily clip any web page and drop the contents into any one of your OneNote notebooks.
Wow.
It's
That's
extremely cool. Yeah, because what it allows you to do is choose what you want to get. Meaning, do you want to see just a link to the page? And then perhaps you might type some notes above it. Whoops, that's not what we wanted to do. But as you can see, the link works. You know, or do we want something like this, which was, I tried to clip, I wanted to see what would happen, the whole YouTube page. And of course, it wouldn't really clip the whole YouTube page, and we wouldn't want it anyway.
Right.
But this is something you can put in both Chrome and Firefox for sure. I'm not sure if it's available for other browsers. So that if you're cruising along looking at, so for example, this, the Respondus knowledge base, and you wanted to clip this, you could. But now this shows up, and now it's, which one? We were in boot camp, right? So these are my notebooks.
Oh yeah. Wow, that's cool.
And I can pick anyone that I want. I can say where I want it to go. Maybe we want it to go in the collaboration space. And now it's clipping the page. And as we come over here, we can add a note if we want to. And then we can also choose what do we want to click. Do we want it in article format? So here's what we clipped from Respondus. Neat, huh? So now we could distribute this and people could draw on it or whatever.
Wow, that's super cool.
I love the web clipper. I think the web clipper is awesome because once again, you don't actually have to interact with OneNote to put something in your notebook. What are other common questions? So once again,
Susan, do you have any other questions?
Well, I think I'm just going to be using it for really basic things like the submitting work. So when you added that fill in this to the Staniettes, what if you wanted to have that, like you were going to paste a Word document into something? Would that be, would you click on teacher only and then add page and then distribute it to the other students, or how would you? So that one was just under his name, right?
Yep. Yeah. If the goal is to give it to everybody, the recommendation would be to put it in the teacher only area and then distribute it. However, I created it here in Daniet's personal one. I can still choose to distribute this page to everybody.
And it would
So
still,
whether I did this on purpose or by accident, in this case it was an accident because I just wanted to show you what you could do in a page, I can still distribute it. And what this means is if you need to, you can take any student's thing and distribute it to the rest of the students if and when it's appropriate.
But if you didn't want to start with a student's page, would you just click on teacher only and then you'd get that plus page at the bottom?
Yep. Yep. So in this one, this would be if Greg could type.
And then you could see their answers and then edit or like correct it or edit it or make comments on it.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. And then they would see what you did.
does it just automatically save? So if you were, let's say you were correcting a math assignment and you wrote the correct answer in there, then it would just stay there after you wrote it?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep, it's constantly updated. This is whether you're using an iPad app or a tablet app or your phone or the web site, which is what I'm doing now, or using OneNote as an install application. It's all part of the cloud-based, and it's just constantly saved.
Okay.
There's no save button.
Thanks.
It's but I guess one of the things that I thought was really neat, because the first time I saw this, I had no idea what to do. I watched a few of these things in the welcome. When you click on this, it takes you to a page full of stuff. They expect you to take an hour for this. Like I said, I think there's at least a week's worth of stuff on the welcome page. And I'm not kidding. But this, I zoomed through this at least once. It was a long time ago now. But I zoomed through this at least once. Because initially I had no idea. And it helped me figure out some of the things that it could do, so that when our music guy said, I just want people to write treble clefs.
Yeah.
And I said, oh, he's got a worksheet and here's how he can make this go.
I have so many faculty in mind that I want to teach this to, because they have Excel spreadsheets that they want their students to fill out, and the students don't have Excel, the formal version, and so they can't download it, and it's just on and on. I'm going to collect the names of all the people. Well, yeah, it's been a thing. They have Chromebooks, right? The student has Chromebook, so they can't download.
But then my question would be, what functionality is being used in Excel that can't be used in the browser version? There are some, but it's getting, macros don't work.
But it's like, okay, so he has a sheet that he has a bunch of stuff on. He wants each student to add their own stuff to individually and save it as their own file. And so he couldn't figure out how to share it from his OneDrive in a way that each student would get their own copy unless they had to download it. And maybe I'm missing something there, but.
Yeah, so in here for something like that, what we'd end up doing, and there's no printout for Excel.
Okay.
So what we'd end up doing in here, would be you'd add a file, and I'm going to click File Printout just to see, because I haven't tried an Excel file.
Okay.
Here, let's see what happens. Yep.
Oh.
Word or PDF. So my only option is to insert it as an attachment. However, whoops. This is a CSV, doesn't matter.
Yeah.
However, if I now distribute this, the students will get a copy of this file.
Will they, in order to edit it though, they'll get a copy of it that they can open in their web browser. Is that right?
Yep.
That's fantastic. Okay. So they still wouldn't need the desktop app.
No.
Okay.
That's
cool.
So in this case, because it can't be opened from OneNote, it says, do I want to download this? If I come in here now and I actually put in an Excel file, a real one, let's see if we can find an actual Excel file. This is just sort of my junk file here. I have no idea what this is. Now when I click it, it's going to make me download it. So that sort of sucks.
So because we have students that can't download Excel.
Okay. However, that's always been.
Maybe he could change it to a forms or something,
depending on forms are awesome. So depending on what it is you need to collect or do, a form might work.
It's
If it's
yeah.
if it's a class that's about Excel, I guess then I can't imagine someone trying to take a class about Excel on
Yeah.
a Chromebook.
Right, right.
Otherwise, what a student could do, and I realize this may not be ideal, a student could download this and then upload it to their own OneDrive, where it would then open in the browser. Or,
Oh,
so watch, I'm going to download this. Hopefully it asks me where I want to put it. I'm going to create a new folder in here.
even if they don't have Excel on their machine, they could do this?
Yep, so I'm going
Okay.
to download it to my computer right here. I'm going to go over here. I'm going to open Excel online.
Oh, that's how you do that.
And so here's this.
I did not realize. Okay, I didn't.
So you can see how it's pulling from OneDrive.
Got it.
So if
Okay.
as a student, I had, instead of going to Excel, I had uploaded this file to OneDrive. I'm going to put it in here. I don't know what's in there. So I uploaded it here. So now once it's in OneDrive, when I click on it, now it shows up online.
So one of the econ instructors was having a problem because even if his students did have Excel on their machines, they were downloading his document and editing it and uploading it into his assignment folder, but it was like a different version of Excel than it needed to be or something. And so he either wasn't able to open it, there's all these issues, but this sounds like
so here's
solve that.
Right, and here's the cool thing. So if I distribute an Excel file via Class Notebook, and I say, look, guys, you need to do the work, and here's how to get at it online, by putting it in your OneDrive, where now it's your copy. You can change it and do whatever you want. Okay, so because this is cloud-based now, it's saved.
Yeah.
Now as a student, when I come in to an assignment folder where I might actually want to submit this.
Mm-hmm. You should be able to pull it. Yeah.
Pull it straight out of my OneDrive.
That's great. Okay. I will remember this trick.
So to me, this is a super cool way to get at something like that.
Yeah.
The instructor might even want to just. The problem is if you create it online and you share this, of course, you're sharing this copy.
Right.
There's no way or no easy way that I know of to do what we just effectively did here, which is create 37 copies of the same thing.
That's freaking amazing. Oh my God. I'm so excited right now. I have so many people I want to talk to about this. So great.
Yeah, and again, take a look at this welcome stuff and just zip through this thing, this first course.
Okay.
There's so much information in here.
That's great.
So much information in here. And I don't pretend to understand how OneNote does everything. Mm-hmm. And even in this hour that we took, we barely touched on it. We barely touched on what it can do.
Sorry we went so long.
No, that's okay.
I had a feeling half an hour would not be enough. I actually do have another meeting too. So, oh my gosh, this is so great.
But yeah, so the students come in as they sign up. I mean, it's awesome watching them show up.
That's huge for me because that's what I could not figure out. I was like, how do I have to add them? That didn't make any sense because it said that it would.
Yep. No, they just come in. And because this is a cloud-based document, it always updates. So as long as you stay on this page, if new students were joining, we'd see them coming in.
Yeah, but it's good to know that if you distribute something before a student clicks in, they're not going to have it. That's important to know. Yeah,
that's the biggest gotcha for most folks.
Mm-hmm.
That notion of, but I distributed it. Yeah, but you distributed it to the first 10 and you missed the last 20.
It really is step one of working with this is making sure every student has clicked on it.
Yeah, and so ultimately what you end up doing, so here's this Excel sheet. If I want to distribute this, and I did it for the first 10, now I know who I need to distribute it to because I know who's left. I can then choose individual, and I can choose multiple.
Oh, that's really cool. That's good to
And
know.
if I,
Thank you.
yep, and then if I want to, I can then put it in a different spot.
Nice. Like late work.
Absolutely. Yep. Yeah, right.
Fantastic.
Yeah. I guess what I'd say for you is fire this up in a class.
Yeah.
Bring someone in as a student and have them join, so you've got a spot to work with.
Yeah.
And then fire up all the apps and the installed application and everything to really get a feel for this. Because I got to say, the tablet app of OneNote makes some of this so cool, particularly for the students.
Yeah. Yeah. Awesome.